Now let's take a deep dive on how to run masterminds. So masterminds are awesome. It's one of the greatest business models ever, especially if you're after a lifestyle business. It's really, really good and can be extremely lucrative. So here's what you need in order to run these. First of all, you got to have a place to hold the meetings, right? That's typically going to be a hotel. You can switch it up. You can do the experience-based masterminds if you want to. I personally don't. I have before. However, I found it just ate into profits, and really people they enjoy being together more than they enjoy going to Hawaii or whatever. An optional thing you can do is you can provide monthly or quarterly calls for your members where they all just hop on a bridge line, so you can do that if you want. You can create a private Facebook group for them if you want to. We do it with War Room. I don't do it with my personal mastermind group. Actually, I do have it with my personal mastermind group. I just never go in there because I hate Facebook. You can give them a members only email address, which is what I do for my personal mastermind group. I also give them my phone number, so if they need anything, they can just call. They're paying a pretty good bit of money. I don't mind hearing from them. I like them. So you can do that if you want to. The big thing, of course, about the mastermind that you're selling is going to be the meetings, right? So the question always becomes, well, how do I do these meetings? People really freak themselves out, and they put a lot of pressure on themselves around having the perfect meeting. Nothing can go wrong. They've paid a lot of money. The meeting has to be absolutely fantastic. Well, please relax. It doesn't have to be absolutely fantastic as long as you do a good job of giving them good content and facilitating a good experience for them. So, you got several styles of mastermind. The first one is facilitated, and that's largely member driven. So that's where you lead the mastermind, but they're doing most of the actual quote unquote work, and that's pretty cool. That's the most popular model, by the way. The second is curriculum based. All right, and then the third, which I haven't put here as a bullet point, is a large group format. And I'll go through all three of these. So let's talk about how to run a member-driven mastermind. So I'll talk about this first because, like I said, this is really the most popular. Okay, so the way this works is you begin your day with an introduction from the facilitator. That's going to be you. So I've run this type of group before, and what you usually do is if it's your first meeting, you teach something really, really cool for 45 minutes, a new concept or whatever. And then, or I should say, if it's not your first meeting, if you've had meetings before, you give a recap of, hey, all right, here's what we did the last meeting, here's what everybody said they were going to do. And that leads you into now the main part of the meeting. So you always have a little introduction. It can either be you teach or you give a recap, depending on personal preference. And then here's what day one is all about. Day one is focused on what's working. So I want you to put yourself in the position of a member. They've joined this group. They're all in the group to accomplish the same thing. You never have a mastermind that's like super diverse, really. It's always a theme-based thing, whether it's to increase business or self-development or whatever it may be, right? So on day number one, we focus on what's working. So in a typical mastermind that's business growth oriented, you have a group of entrepreneurs. Everyone's doing some cool stuff. And this gives them a chance to talk about the cool stuff they're doing and share it with the group. And that's, of course, beneficial to the person sharing because they get the significance, and it's also beneficial from the group because they get to see another person's perspective on what's working that they might not have tested yet. So the way you do it is you let every member do a brief presentation on what they're doing that's working for like 10 minutes, and they like to do this very much. It's cool. You get significance from it, and you also get to contribute. So there's two huge human needs that are being met there. And then for the next 10 minutes, the other members brainstorm on how to make it cooler. And that's really about all you do for day number one. So if you have 15 members, as basic as this sounds, if you've got 15 members, just that little section there, that takes up 5 actual hours of work and content being delivered for 15 members. And of course, if you factor in breaks and your lunch and all of that kind of stuff, you've filled up an entire day. Lunch is going to be an hour. If you take 4 breaks, that's another hour. You've just taken 7 hours doing that. If your intro is an hour long, you got a full 8 hours worth of stuff. So it's really, really easy to run a member-driven mastermind, and people really love it. It's the most popular format for a reason, because people really like it. Day number 2 is more of the same. So on day number 2, you're going to do an intro, and the thing that's easiest to do is, now remember, yesterday, from the perspective of you being in this mastermind, so you're putting yourself in the seat of being a mastermind member. So if you're in this meeting, then yesterday we talked about all the cool stuff that's working. Well, all you do is your job as the facilitators, you say, okay, guys, here's what we're going to do. We all learned really cool stuff yesterday that's working. Here's the coolest stuff that I learned that I'm going to apply in my business. What I want you to do right now is I want you to write down your single biggest takeaway from yesterday, and then I want you to set 3 action items that you're going to commit to doing before our next meeting. Well, guess what this lets you do? Next time you're in the mastermind meeting, you can hold people accountable. And you can say, Bob, all right, so I have in my notes here, last time we met, these are your 3 action items. How'd it go? And of course, it's going to keep Bob on track. Chances are he's going to do them. He's going to have something to report, good or bad. And everybody's doing work. They're moving along, right? So on day number 2, we shift the focus from here's all the good stuff to, hey, here's where I need help. So it follows the exact same format. Every member presents their trouble point, not what's trouble point, sorry there. They present their trouble point for 10 minutes. And then the other members brainstorm on how to fix it for 10 minutes. And again, you got 15 minutes. This is actually 5 hours of work. So once again, you factor in your breaks, your lunch, etc. You filled up an entire day of activity. And what's great about this is this really, really helps your members because they're getting outside perspective. One of the most dangerous things that we have in our business is the fact that most of us are doing this by ourselves. And we get caught up in this little bubble. And we're like, it's almost like we have this tunnel vision. So when you're in a part of a group like this with like-minded peers that are all working independently outside of your own personal little bubble, it sort of jumpstarts you and gives you fresh perspectives and really gives you new ideas on things that you can immediately deploy. So that's really, really cool. So the next type of group is curriculum driven. So this is what my group is like. So I have a group specifically of people who sell expensive stuff, and we're very curriculum based. So each meeting is theme focused, right? So our first meeting was focused on models. Our other meeting was focused on sales closing methodologies. We just had a meeting that was focused on automation. Our upcoming meeting is focused on team building, not team building within the group, but here's how to hire people and how to scale your organization, etc. So every meeting has a very specific mission. So this takes a little more work from you. I'm not really entirely sure that it's a better way to run a meeting. This is really me imposing my will on my group, so I can't tell you for sure that it's of any more value to do this much extra work, but here's how I do mine. So you break each day into 4 90-minute chunks, and basically what that is you give an hour-long presentation. So you have 4 of them. You have 4 hour-long presentations, so that's 60 of your 90 minutes, and then that's followed by a 30-minute period where you do an exercise, so you make them do some work, and then you have a Q&A where they're asking you questions and you're answering them, etc., and then you take a break. So if you do this, it's 6 hours worth of work, right? So if you factor in your breaks and everything, your quickly breaks and lunch, you're right up to 8 hours before you know it. So the next format is, and you do that for 2 days, by the way. Here, so let me go back here. So you're doing this for 2 days. So you follow the same format every day for 2 days. So at the end of this, you're creating 8 hours worth of presentation for each meeting. So it's a tremendous amount of work for you. However, if you're a structure person, if you really need structure and it freaks you out at the thought of just like getting a bunch of people in the room and saying, okay, what's working, and hoping that like you don't have dead air, then this is the model for you because you have more control of what's going on. That's the pro. The con is you got to create 8 presentations for every meeting. Not a big deal if you like teaching. I like teaching, so it doesn't bother me at all. So now let's talk about the third way to do it, which is large groups. Okay, so one of the things about masterminds is in order to scale them, you have to either run multiple groups or you have to figure out how to do a large group format. So I am in 2 masterminds, one that I facilitate and the other is curriculum driven, and each of them have over 50 members. So the one that I'm a member of, where I pay for, is Strategic Coach. It has 4 quarterly meetings, and each meeting is 1 day, and it's curriculum based. And this Dan Sullivan gets up there, teaches some stuff for 8 hours. You get a big old binder full of stuff. You do some exercises, you leave, that's it. And it's great. It's actually one of the most valuable experiences I've ever had. I went to one single meeting this year, and I got my entire $20,000 worth. It was amazing. So I love it, right? So you don't have to really overthink it too much. You can curriculum base a very large group, and you can use curriculum base for large groups, or you can do what I will call the war room model. And the only reason I'm calling it the war room model is because I facilitate war room, and this is how we do it. And I've never seen it done outside of war room. So war room, I think, is $25,000 per year, and we have around 70 members or so. Now, to my embarrassment, I don't know the total accuracy of each of those numbers. It's either 20 or 25,000. I'm pretty sure it's 25K. And we have around 70. Frankly, I just get a check and show up and make content for people. So I don't really work too much in the business part of that. It's a pretty sweet deal for me. I get a big check every year, and I just show up at these meetings and teach and, enjoy myself very, very much. But we did work very, very hard in terms of developing the member experience for this past year, and we've got it down to a really, really well-oiled machine. So here's how we run it. It's a pretty big group, so here's how we run it. We keep everybody happy. So the group is, first of all, led by 5 people. This makes everything easy. So it's me, Ryan Dice, Perry Belcher, Richard Linder, and Roland Frazier. So it's basically me and then all the dudes from Digital Marketer and Survival Life, right? So it's essentially Digital Marketer, and then they just added me, really out of the courtesy of them. I don't think they really needed me, but don't tell them that. It'll run me out of a little bit of extra money there, right? So it's led by all 5 of us. In our first year, we did it together. It was kind of a cluster fudge. It was a cluster fudge is what it was. And then this year, we've really got it honed down to a science. So here's how we do it. On day 1, we open. Ryan always opens. He's kind of the meeting leader, and he sets the agenda, and then we have a little moment where we welcome new members, and there's always new members. So remember when I gave you the 30,000-foot view of Masterminds, and I said, listen, if you're going to make Masterminds your business model, you don't want to just say, I'm only going to do it for a year. You just want to have an ongoing mastermind. So we're always onboarding new members, and they're with us. They join for a year, and that year could begin with any quarter of the year. It doesn't matter. Right? And then when it's time for them to renew, they renew, and it's always just an ongoing thing. So on day 1, we open up, we set the agenda. All right, guys, here's what we're going to do, and then welcome the new members, and the members come up, they introduce themselves, etc. That might take 30 minutes or whatever. And then we're going to have 2 90-minute presentations by one of the group leaders, right? And this is like a hardcore, as if you were at a big paid seminar, but it's not a pitch, right? So we don't sell anything at War Room. So it's really like, here's everything that's working really, really well, and here's, the deal, right? So there are 2 of those in the beginning of the day, and there's a 15, 20-minute break between them. We give a pretty long break because there's so many people. There's kind of like herding cattle, right? So then we have lunch. So after lunch, what we do is we have a new format. We have something called mini presentations, and those are broken up by topic tables. And this is where we really, really were able to add awesome value to our members and give them the personal attention that they wanted from us. So here's how it works. So a mini presentation is basically a 30-minute presentation showing a cool tactic, strategy, or discovery. Right? So it's like, hey, here's this Facebook retargeting methodology, or here's some stuff on email deliverability, or here's how we've added continuity to this offer, or, whatever it may be. Because the digital marketer team is involved in so many businesses, there's always really, really cool stuff to share with that from a tactical standpoint. And then after that, we'll have a topic table. And this is what's great about the topic table. The topic tables have nothing to do with what was just given in the 30-minute presentation. A topic table is simply a 30-minute period where each of the group leaders has a designated table, and then members can come to his table and ask questions about anything. So literally at the end of a mini presentation, whether it's Richard doing it or me or whoever, will say, okay, guys, now here's what we're going to do. We're going to break up into topic tables. That's Richard's table over there. There's Roland's table over there. There's Ryan's table. There's Perry's table. There's my table. If you have any questions about like deal flow, equity plays, legal stuff or whatever, ask Roland. If you have operational questions, you want to go to Richard's table. If you want to learn about offers and stuff, you want to go to Perry's table. If you want to learn about high ticket stuff and copy, you can come to my, Frank's table. If you want to learn, I forgot who I've left out. Oh, Ryan, if you want to learn about running a team or whatever, you go to Ryan's table. And then the members just go to whoever's table they want to go to and ask about stuff, and they could just rotate, right? So there's 5 of us, there's around 70 members, and that means at any given time there's going to be around 15 people sitting at a table with one of the leaders, so everyone can get their question answered. So there's nobody leaving feeling like they're left out. So that's about 30 minutes. Right? So we'll do several of those sessions. We do about 4 rounds of this, and that's going to take up 2 hours excluding breaks. So if you think about what we've got there, is we've really just filled up a full day giving really awesome hardcore presentations and then allowing people to have one-on-one direct access in a very organized and structured fashion that's broken up between segments of education. Now, on our second day, it's a little different. We'll open with a 90-minute presentation by one of the group leaders. Then we'll have a 15-minute break. Then we'll follow that by a mini presentation and a topic table. right? And then we'll have lunch, okay? So usually 15-minute break actually means like 30-minute break. Topic table can be a little bit longer. It's pretty loose, but it's not, it's loose, but it's organized. So when I say it's loose, we're not like, okay, it's 30 minutes, you got to leave. We're not going to cut someone off in the middle of a question or something like that. So that's what I mean by it's loose. Then after lunch, we'll do another 90-minute presentation. We'll take a break. We'll do a mini presentation plus a topic table, and we'll end with something we call the Wicked Smart Contest. That's a Saturday Night Live reference. And what this is we'll ask anyone who wants to participate in the contest. We always have 2 prizes, right? So there's a grand prize, and it's always a toy, So the grand prize this year was like some flying drone or some kind of cool remote control thing, and the other prize was some instant death electric skateboard that's guaranteed to kill you the very first day that you use it or something. Please sign waiver of liability here, right? So anyone who wants to participate can, and the audience is the judge. Okay, so basically what this is we call for the members to say, hey, if you have something really cool you want to present for Wicked Smart, go ahead and get in line. They'll come up. The members will present something really cool. We'll write down their idea on a whiteboard, right? And so, they take control, and they have like 10, 15 minutes each. And usually there's like 6 or 7 people who want to do this. So add up the numbers here, right? This takes about an hour and a half, 2 hours. And then at the end of it, we'll vote on the winner. And then they get a cool prize, and everyone's walked away learning cool stuff. So it's awesome, right? It's really awesome for us as facilitators because we always learn really, really cool things. So that's how you run a large group with the war room model. So you can either do hardcore curriculum based on a large group, no problem, or you can do war room model, which, again, I'm just calling it the war room model because that's how we run it in war room, and I've never seen it done before. So here's the big thing you got to remember. No matter which of the methodologies you're choosing, the best thing you want to do is, first of all, what hotel do I use? Well, whichever hotel you want to use. You don't want to use anything that's like absolutely crappy, but there's no need to go super fancy, right? So War Room, it's very expensive. We alternate between San Diego, Las Vegas, and Texas, just because members are coming in from all over the world and they like to alternate. And our principals, meaning myself and Roland, we live here in San Diego. The other guys live in Texas, so nobody wants to go to Texas 4 times a year. No one wants to come to San Diego 4 times a year. And this is between the guys who run it, so we sort of compromise. We'll do one in we'll do maybe 2 in San Diego, 1 in Texas, 1 in Vegas, or whatever. So we sort of switch it up a little bit. If you're not doing that, which there's really no need for you to do unless you have lots of partners and they're going to fight over not wanting to fly across the country and leave their families, which is what we do. Best thing to do: choose one hotel, pretty nice one. Hilton's fine. A Marriott's usually going to be pretty good. Don't use anything ratty, and just stick with that one hotel. And the reason why is because you'll get familiar with the hotel. They will be very cool to you because you're bringing them clients 4 times a year. You're buying meals there. They're getting the revenue at the bar and all this stuff from your members when they go to the bar and they party and all of that kind of stuff. And you really don't have to think about it very much. Another thing is, this doesn't look that good in print. They don't like you as much as you think. And what I mean by this is, yeah, sure, you're going to provide a lot of value to them, but more than what you're giving them, they're actually going to get greater value from each other than what you could ever possibly give them, even if you're giving them the greatest value in the world, because they're networking with peers. They're spending a tremendous, 2 concentrated days. First of all, they're away from the business, so it allows them to work on the business instead of in it, right? They're networking with people, which are in the similar aspects of business, etc. They're out of the office and they're having a good time. So they'll form lasting friendships throughout this thing. And the collaboration between the members is significantly more valuable than really what you can give them, no matter how great you are. So that's good. The reason I tell you this is because I want you to take some of the pressure off of yourself. At the end of the day, what I want you to realize is this is all about a good time. Sure, you need to deliver good content, but whatever you do, just don't stress yourself out about running a mastermind. The first one you ever do, if you've never done one before, it'll probably freak you out. And then at the end of it, you'll be like, oh my gosh, that was amazing. That was so easy. Everybody was fun. It was delightful. I had built it up to be scary in my mind, and it wasn't even scary at all. So these are the ways to run an actual mastermind. It's very, very simple to do. It's very fun. Don't overthink it. Choose one. When in doubt, go facilitate it. And I'll see you in the next video.